Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with another unboxing and storage solution video, this time for Everdell. This is as you can see, highly awarded games by Starling Games, and it essentially is a tableau builder, which, it's kind of like a city builder. You're building your little town in Everdell with these woodland creatures, and you can build buildings and creatures that go along with them, and you're essentially just trying to gain the most victory points by the end of the game. There's a few resources you can collect, and you use those to purchase your buildings and your critters. You can see here on the back that it's got this beautiful organic looking board with a three-dimensional tree that comes up on the outside. Everybody plays with cards in their hand, and then there's kind of a community market here that everybody can buy from, and then you're just laying cards out in front of you as you can afford them. So this is the retail edition. I did not back this on Kickstarter originally, nor did I really jump in on it during the last expansion, but they are currently right now in the middle of their third and fourth. It's kind of like a 2 expansion Kickstarter. It's got about 3 or 4 days left at the time of this filming, so by the time you watch this, it may either be over or maybe near the last day. So if you like what you see, you might want to jump on that, because you can still get the entire package in this most recent Kickstarter. You can catch all up in one pledge. So let's go ahead and check it out. My goodness. Well, all right, now you guys got to see me struggle with another box. But here we go. We have the rules of play, which is not too bad. It's about 20 pages. There's a heavy index at the back. There is solo specific rules. So really the actual rules that you need to read after the setup is only about 5 pages. 5 to 6 pages, so that's really not bad at all. So there's the rules of play. Here's a Starling's catalog. This is assembling your Evertree, your 3-dimensional tree. It is not necessary to play with this, but it gives the game a really nice table presence. Here is the board. And let's see if we can't zoom out a little here. Let's take a better look at this. There we go. All right, so you can see here that this is essentially where your Evertree sits, and this is the kind of main market. And there are places where you put your little worker meeple critters to earn you resources, and you just kind of pile the resources up here. What's neat about the expansions is that they fit up against this board very organically. The most recent one that just came out, Pearlbrook, fits right along here. One of the ones that's the current Kickstarter actually fits and tucks in right here, which I think is really cool. And then the other one sits up here. So I'm assuming there will be a 4th one that will sit over there, but there's the board. Here is part of the Evertree. I don't think there's a whole lot of cardboard in here. More pieces of the Evertree. These are ways to keep track of victory points throughout the game that you might not be able to keep track of. There's just more Evertree, and that's it. That's all the cardboard. So there's not a whole lot of cardboard. This is all the woodland creatures here, so a fair amount of cards. These are like little mini quests that you will try and obtain throughout the game, and you only use 4 per game. So and these are what are really neat about the game, are these resources. They are really well done, even in the retail edition. You can see here that here's the wood pieces, and they're actually made so that they don't roll. The first edition, they would roll around too much, so they made these kind of lopsided so that they don't roll. That's nice. These berries, I think, are my favorite. They are, have a little star on them, but they're squishy. They're like rubbery. They're not plastic. So they have a really nice feel to them. It's just a really nice touch. And normally this kind of stuff is Kickstarter exclusive, but this is all in the retail edition. There's some resin. These are basically just amber colored gems. And this is the stone. And these are not rubbery, which would make sense. They're pretty firm, but they're flat like river stones, so they lay real nicely. And these are all the meeples. You can see that the retail game comes with some, let's see, some turtles. We can pull these out here. I just ripped my bag. Well, it's a good thing I'm gonna come up with a storage solution for this then, isn't it? Let's see what we got here. So we've got a hedgehog, looks like, a rabbit, a turtle, and a squirrel. And the current expansion on Kickstarter, actually it will expand the game to 5 to 6 players. Right now this one just goes up to 4, so that'll be interesting to see. But I'll probably actually be playing this a lot solo. An 8-sided dice, some extra baggies, and then let's get into these cards here. And that's pretty much it. And you can see it's a pretty decent storage solution right here, but I am hoping to come up with something that allows me to keep the resources contained on the board, so they're not just rolling around on the board, and I can easily pull them out, throw them down. Okay, it's just kind of like an extra card. But these are essentially all the cards, and they're all pretty straightforward. You can see here that like this guy, the innkeeper, goes with the inn. So if you have the inn, which I'm sure is in here somewhere, you get to play him for free. Otherwise you're playing berries to attract the critters, and then wood, stone, and resin to attract the locations. And it's a pretty straightforward game. You send your workers out to collect resources, then you play these buildings, or you attract other critters, and all these buildings and other critters allow you to do other things. So let's see if we can't come up with something that'll fit in this nice insert here that'll also help us get these onto the table quickly and keep them contained for easy setup and cleanup. So let's see what we can come up with. All right, so this one was pretty straightforward. What I did was I went and found these tiny little canisters at Michael's, of course, and they are each holding my resources. At the moment, I just have 4, but if you were so inclined to say keep your victory points or these little occupation tokens, you can see here that you could fit, a third in there. It would work. So I may do that down the road. I may find that I like these things better in there, or those, but for right now, it works to have kind of the baggies and the bags. But these things, which I liked for, well, the main reason is that they're small. These resources don't take up a lot of room. You can see that the river pebbles, don't take up hardly any room at all. The only thing I could not fit completely in there was the wood. I fit as much wood in there as possible, and there's like, I don't know, what is that, 4 or 5 left in the bag. But I play mostly solo, so if I ever play with a full 4 set of people, I can just get the bag out. But also that these are clear, so that when you put them on the table, and I'll show you guys this in a second, they don't really distract from the artwork. You can still kind of see the artwork through them, and I didn't want these big obtrusive things, and I wanted them in separate containers so that they could go on their separate spots on the board. So yeah, that's what I've gotten for right now. I can go ahead and show you because I still have the package here. This actually came in a 9-pack, and you can see there's 3 different colors. I wish there was 4. I wish there was an orange one. That would have been perfect, but I will put a link in the description to these. Again, these are by Bead Landing from Michaels, and they you know, are just these tiny little like 1 ounce, 1.5 ounce jars with nice lids. So I'm going to start by just showing you that everything does fit back here in the box. And I want to just have one little disclaimer before I do that. I want to show you guys the tree here that I put together. It's quite impressive, and it can be taken apart and put together as much as you want. But I have personally decided that I'm just going to leave this set out. I'm going to find a nice shelf to display it on, maybe put some miniatures that I've painted up on it, but mostly keep it out because it was a slight pain to get it together. And I really don't want to have to, every time I get the game out, put this thing together. So keeping that in mind, that there isn't that much extra cardboard sitting on top, I actually took the punch board pieces from the tree and the chits and everything and put those, stacked them on the bottom. This is actually raising up then the overall insert at the bottom here, so that when we put everything else in, I can show you that right now. There's the instructions, and here's the board. When everything else goes in, it all lays flat. You can see there is a little bit of space. I can kind of run my finger around there, but pretty much this, it just sits in there nice and tight, so the cards aren't gonna fall out even if you turn it sideways. So if you want to be able to break down the tree and keep it in the box, then I would just throw away the inserts that are at the bottom and let the tree fill up this space on top. But that's your choice. So let me just real quick kind of show you what these look like out on the board. So you can see here, this generally is where the berries go, the river rock goes, the amber goes, and the wood goes. And it's, very thematic, and they just are usually kind of scattered there. Well, since these are clear, these can easily just sit there, and they kind of fit in that space pretty well. They don't really distract from the artwork. And they're also pretty easy to reach in there. They're not so small you can't get your fingers in there. Everything comes out of them nice and easily. And you could still technically, dump these out if you wanted the pure artistic look of the game. But to me, it was really just a pain in the butt the first time I played it to get these all back into baggies. And if you're, as you're pulling them out and then you're playing them, just dropping them right back in here, cleanup is going to be super easy. So there you go. Again, I will put a link in the description to this 9-pack. Again, it's more than you need. At most you would use 6, but I can guarantee you I'm going to find another use for my extras of these in some other game. And grand total, it was $7.50 regular price at Michael's. I again had a 50% off coupon. If you're into board game storage like I am, sign up for Michael's email listing, and I guarantee you will always have at least a 40% off coupon to use for items like this. So we're talking under $5 for me to get my Everdell storage system set up, and it is modular. I can decide how much I want to put in storage and not. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and if you've enjoyed these types of videos, please consider subscribing to the channel, because I do love showing off my storage solutions for board games, and I am starting to put some playthroughs out there as well. So lots of board game content coming in the future. Thanks again. Have a great night.